Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure, and today we're going to get this 1993 club car back to life. It's got a few problems, and let me see if I can't show you some of them. I just put a new battery into it, and some of you might say, oh, that battery's a little small. Yeah, maybe, but okay, it's on. There's a little ignition switch here, and what that does is I have this in neutral, and that bypasses it so that the starter will engage when I push the pedal down. So that time it turned over. Normally it does not. Alright, let me apply a little choke to it. Let's see what we get. Come on, come on. So, it hasn't been started in a while. Well, what we'd like to do is get this thing functioning properly. You can see basically the starter doesn't have enough strength to turn it over. I mean, once it gets it whipping, it's pretty good. But before that, it doesn't seem to have enough oomph. A lot of you might say, well, you know, your battery's a little small. I gotta be honest with you, I don't think that would help much. So I think what we're gonna do is I gotta tighten the belt up anyway, and I happen to have a spare starter. So we're gonna quickly swap this out and see if that helps a little bit. To do that, it looks like I take this off, this off, this off. That's an internal connection. And then it looks like I got one, you see it there, 1, 2, I think I'm showing it to you, 2, and 3 bolts. So it looks like it's easy enough. By the way, this is a 1993. I bought it from my friend Charlie. The nice thing about club cars is the frame is made out of aluminum, right? They typically don't rot out as much as other ones. I mean, right, even here where the battery is, it's in halfway decent shape. So assuming we get it running properly and so forth, I might just pop for the real battery that should be in there. And what the real battery looks like is it's got side terminals, and it's really short and squat, and it costs $100. So anyway, here, let's pull that alternator out and take a look at it. So here's the starter alternator out of the club car, and extremely important, you gotta pay attention to where the jumpers go. This one just has one jumper. Some of them have more than one jumper, but you see right here it says F1, that's field, and this says A2 right down there. And you look at this one, and you got another F1, and you got A2. The way I always do this is I make sure these are the brackets, the pivot brackets as I call them, and this is the belt tightening bracket. So you just want to make sure all of that is in the right place. It's very, very easy to say, oh, I got this used alternator and I'm just going to use this one. But a lot of times you'll find out that the brackets aren't quite in the same place. As an example, see how we have the two mounting brackets there? See how on the club car the tightening bracket is there? Oops. So it's not going to go on, right? You're upside down. Just once again, you gotta really pay attention to this stuff. I personally recommend, you know, everybody seems to have phones with cameras on them. Make sure you do some documentation or shoot a little video that you can watch as you're putting these things together. Anyway, in the meantime, I already loosened these. I'm gonna change the wire from one side to the next. Not all that hard to do, as one could see, right? Your basic nuts and bolts mechanic work. I like to keep the original bolts right back on the starter. Now, what I should do with this starter is I should pop these protective shields off. I can't say what they're made of because I might just get my video knocked off air. Anyway, I should take those protective shields off and take a look at the brushes. You might say, why didn't you just change the brushes? I've not had good luck with that. I've done it, then they spark and have all kinds of trouble. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Some people say, well, you also have to clean the armature. Not a bad idea, I'm sure, but by the time you're doing all those wonderful things, you're really just about to the point where you're buying a starter. So I figured, well, I'll just go that way. Anyway, I'll turn this back on in a minute. The new generator starter is in. The battery was in, and I put that little piece of angle iron across there to make it balance a little better. And turn that on. So I decided to take your advice and do the carb, especially while I'm right here. Easy enough. You just take 2 bolts off on the end where the air cleaner slips on, and right, that bolt and this bolt, and everything kind of slides off that easy, right? So I have to take that spring off and take the little ball out of here, and the carburetor will be off, and from there we'll see what it looks like inside. I already sprayed the outside of it with some brake cleaner just to get the first 1.5 feet of grease off of it. The carburetor is off. I always like to take a quick note of where, you know, the landmarks. This is the intake, you can tell, and this is off to the, I don't know, 10 o'clock position, give or take a little bit. Take the bowl off. Should not be all that hard to do. A little hard to do one-handed, but it's always interesting to see what falls out. Ooh, got some critters in there. Ooh, got a lot of stuff in there. Alright, this thing is plugged up completely. Now, what I'm going to do is, obviously, I'm going to slide this pin out of here and get the float off. right? One wants to be careful not to lose the needle valve. Given the amount of stuff in here, I think I'm going to replace the fuel line and everything. I am going to put a screwdriver in there and get that jet out. And I'm going to check this. I'm going to count. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that's up to. Anyway, that's throttle. I'm going to count the number of turns. I'm going to tighten this up until it's barely snug. Well, actually, I'm going to count the number of turns until this idle is just barely snug. Then I'm going to take it off. Then when I put it back in, I'm going to tighten it until it's snug and back it out the same amount. I'm going to take that jet out of there. I'm going to blow carburetor cleaner or brake cleaner through the whole thing, and that should clean it up. But yeah, it's in a kind of homely shape. I'm surprised it's running. I think what it is it's a testament to golf carts. They set them up that though they could be in pretty rough shape and they still start run and move, because let's face it, you rent those things out and they got to make you money. Okay, the carburetor's all clean, put back together again, bolted on. I said the ball would slip out of here. Turns out there was a pin and a cotter pin. Got the spring back on, that's all good. You guys could see I put a shut-off on it, clear fuel line, fresh fuel filter, and let's see what she wants to do. It runs a little lean without the air cleaner on it. I'm going to put that on now. And we'll see if we can't get a ride out of this puppy. Okay, here we are. We got the air cleaner on and the whole bit. By the way, this is the choke, and what it does is the choke closes off the air to the air cleaner and so forth. So without it, without the air cleaner box on, you can't choke the engine when you want to start it. There's no, you know, butterfly on the carburetor itself. Anyhow, it's been warm, key on, so it's just and that's exactly where one wants to get these things, right? If you want to take your golf cart out or all-terrain vehicle or anything else, you don't want to be fighting with it for an hour. You want to just push the pedal, have it start, and take it out. Okay, tubers, it's time for a ride. There's like bees everywhere, so if you see me jump over the side and the cart and the camera goes all tumbling around, it's because, yeah, they just keep flying around. I gotta put this someplace different, and the ones that aren't in the nest will hopefully stop bothering me. Little tight. I cut through here on the tractor, or on the zero turn. Hopefully there's space. There we are. So there's wide open. Every time I feel something touch me, I think it's a bee about to bite me. I hope there's not too much wind noise. Yeah, it's good to get this thing back to life. It's, I have no excuse. For having it sit around all this time. You know, it's kind of like, oh, wife's going to run me down here. like it, the starter was acting up, then the battery died. Then it took me a little while to get a battery into it. And the starter really was dead, so then I had to order one of those. And a lot of times when there's like multiple things wrong, that's when it takes a while to fix it. I mean, a single problem like the starter, right? You saw that took almost no time. The battery was not that big a deal, except I had to make a bracket for it. It was running on the old Carb. Or the Carb before I rebuilt it. But a rebuild, a fresh filter, fresh gas line, and a turn off. Not bad things to add. Off-road in the go-kart. Yeah, it's starting to work our way into deer season. I guess we got, what is it, 2/3 of the way through August. When's it start? Partway through October, right? So, believe it or not, we're only 50, 60 days away. So I see my buddy's got his tree stand all set up. He's got a teenage daughter that also hunts, which is really pretty cool. Right? It's nice when your kids take to some of your interests. I've added a little bit to the trail system this year. You know, you can kind of see that one there. This here. And this guy. Yeah, this is new. Matter of fact, this is the first time the golf cart's been on it. So, you know, you work on things a little bit at a time. I brought in a lot of projects this May. It fit. So, I mean, the good thing is I got a lot of cool stuff to play with. The bad thing is there was a lot of time spent transporting and dealing with a lot of logistics of bringing in new projects. And now going into fall, obviously I have the usual storage problems. I'm probably going to have to consider building something. Yeah, you guys can see I cut all that back in there. Yeah, I cut the grass yesterday. It was finally dry enough. When the grass gets long and wet, then you gotta kind of wait for it to dry out and be ready to go. I'm gonna park this thing up front. Leave it right here next to the power wheels. Other projects that you get done. I've been wanting to put an all-terrain vehicle, one of those 110cc models, underneath one of those. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the repairs, the ride, the talk. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.